Imagine you deploy a new technology that just completely slashes your operational overhead, like by 40%.
Which is huge.
Right. And it handles your absolute worst customer service escalations in, what, 45 seconds?
Yeah, under a minute. It's a total game changer for the bottom line.
But, and here's the catch, if you set it up wrong, like if you just miss one tiny regulatory parameter in the architecture, it could hit you with a 30 million euro fine.
Yeah, it is the ultimate double-edged sword for tech leaders right now.
Absolutely.
The upside is basically existential for your business. But that downside, a penalty that severe could literally wipe a company off the map.
And that exact tension is what we're unpacking in today's deep dive. We are looking at a really comprehensive 2026 guide from AetherLink.
Right, the Dutch AI consulting firm.
Exactly. They've laid out exactly how businesses in Eindhoven and honestly across the whole EU are deploying production-grade AI agents right now. So our mission today is to figure out how whether you're a CTO or a business leader, can bridge that terrifying gap between rapid innovation and ironclad compliance.
And to do that, I think we really need to ground ourselves in where enterprise tech actually is right now in 2026.
Oh, definitely. The landscape moves so fast.
It does. Like, if you're listening to this and you still think AI agents are just some experimental lab project.
Like a neat toy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need to reset that baseline right away.
Yeah.
Because the data from Forrester is crystal clear. 78% of European enterprise organizations are already piloting or deploying these agentic systems.
Wow. 78%.
Yeah, it's not a science experiment anymore. It's core infrastructure.
78% basically means if you aren't deploying this, your direct competitors definitely are.
Oh, without a doubt. And here's why this matters to you right this very second. The EU AI Act is in full enforcement now.
Right. The gloves are off.
Yep. So leaders are caught in this brutal tug of war. You have to adopt autonomous AI to stay competitive, right?
Yeah.
But simultaneously, you're navigating literally the most severe regulatory landscape the tech sector has ever seen.
It's a lot to balance. But before we get into the fines and the legal frameworks, I think we should define the actual technology triggering these mandates.
That's a good idea. The terminology is kind of all over the place.
Yeah, because a few years ago, a chat bot was basically just a digital encyclopedia.
Right.
You type in a query, it spits out an answer based on its training, and then it stops. It waits for you to poke it again.
The whole prompt and response dynamic.
Exactly. But the AetherLink guide emphasizes that agentic AI operates with goal-oriented autonomy.
Yes, goal-oriented autonomy. That's the key phrase.
So it's not a digital encyclopedia anymore. It sounds more like, I don't know, like a heat-seeking missile.
That's a great analogy, actually.
You don't program every single micro adjustment of its flight path, right? You just give it the target, and it continuously recalculates its own trajectory.
Right. It pulls data from whatever systems it needs until it hits the mark. It's actively planning and executing.
So what does that actually look like in practice?
Well, looking at what's being deployed in Eindhoven right now, it relies heavily on multimodal processing. And this is crucial tool orchestration.
Cool orchestration. So you're saying the AI isn't just generating text in a vacuum somewhere.
No, not at all.
It's actually like reaching out and clicking the buttons in my CRM.
Yes.
And reading my inventory database and sending an email to a supplier on my behalf without me pressing approve at every step.
Precisely. A modern system is plugging into 50 or more of your enterprise systems simultaneously.
That is wild.
It is. It's reading Salesforce, updating SAP, checking compliance rules, and drafting an email all at the exact same time. The AI is the orchestrator. There's no human bottleneck.
Okay, but giving an AI the keys to 50 interconnected systems, that sounds like a recipe for a catastrophic failure cascade.
Oh, the risks are real.
Like, if it hallucinates a command, could it just wipe out a database or authorize a €1 million refund?
It could, theoretically.
Yeah.
Which is why the guide talks about a safeguard called graceful degradation.
Right, I saw that. How did that actually stop the missile from hitting the wrong target?
Well, graceful degradation is basically the most vital safety architecture you can build. It's a mathematical safety net.
Okay, how does it work?
The system is constantly calculating a confidence score for its own actions. So if it hits a situation where its uncertainty crosses a strict threshold...
Like if a customer's request is super confusing.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe a critical data point is missing from the CRM. It doesn't guess. It doesn't hallucinate.
It just stops.
It automatically and smoothly escalates the issue to a human agent. and it packages all the context it gathered up to that millisecond so the human can seamlessly take over.
Oh, I see. So it's kind of like a self-driving car handing the steering wheel back to you the second the snow gets too heavy to read the lane markers.
That is exactly it. It knows exactly where its capabilities end.
That's reassuring.
And under the EU AI Act, knowing those limits isn't just a clever feature, it's a strict regulatory requirement. You have to mathematically prove the system won't just barrel forward blindly.
But wait, if giving an AI this level of access carries such an intense risk profile and the threat of a 30 million euro fine, why are 78% of companies taking that gamble?
Because the payoff is just completely unprecedented.
The ROI has to be astronomical to justify that headache.
It is. It's all about immediate, scalable efficiency. And right now, the tip of the spear for that ROI is voice.
Voice AI.
Yeah. Voice-enabled AI adoption grew 156% year over year in Europe.
Wow. And the metric in the AetherLink guide that totally floored me was that a single 45-second voice call is now replacing a 12-exchange text conversation.
Right, because think about the friction of typing back and forth.
Oh, it's the worst. You wait for the chatbot, it misunderstands you, you have to rephrase.
It's incredibly inefficient.
Yeah.
A 45-second voice interaction just cuts straight through all of that.
Yeah.
But what makes it truly revolutionary in 2026 isn't just speech to text. It's how multimodal processing supercharges that voice interaction in real time.
Okay, let's ground this for a second. Walk us through a specific scenario using AetherBot, just so we can see the actual mechanics of this multimodal stuff.
Sure. Imagine a customer calls your company about a damaged product.
Okay.
They're speaking directly to an AetherBot voice agent. The customer says, "Hey, my widget arrived broken."
Right.
The agent just asks them to hold their phone camera over the product. So now the system is processing the live voice call, picking up on their frustration, the context, while simultaneously analyzing a live video feed of the physical damage using computer vision.
That is insane. It's natively combining sight and sound.
Exactly.
So it's parsing the video to confirm the crack in the widget while talking to the customer to calm them down.
Yep. And in the background, using that tool orchestration, it's cross-referencing your inventory to see if a replacement is in stock.
Wow.
It checks the CRM for the warranty status, verbally authorizes the replacement, and confirms the shipping address.
All of that.
The entire workflow in under 2 minutes.
I mean, a human agent would take 10 minutes just to log into SAP and Salesforce, let alone manually review a photo and check the warranty guidelines.
And that speed is why the financial impact is undeniable. Organizations are reporting a 62% reduction in customer service labor costs within 18 months.
62%. That's massive.
And they're seeing a 2.8x increase in first contact resolution. The problem is solved the very first time, without ever putting the customer on hold.
Which is a huge win for everyone.
Yeah.
But moving that fast, with an AI making autonomous decisions over user data, that directly triggers the high-risk classification under the EU AI Act.
Oh, absolutely. The EU AI Act is completely uncompromising here.
Yeah.
If your system is classified as high risk, which it is if it's making decisions about financial security or warranties, the mandates are non-negotiable.
So what are the actual mechanics of that compliance? Like, what do regulators demand to see when they show up at your door?
Well, first, you must have strict, mathematically documented bias auditing across demographics.
Okay.
You also need absolute data lineage tracking.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning you have to prove, cryptographically or through verifiable logs, exactly which piece of training data or CRM entry led the AI to make a specific decision.
That sounds incredibly complex.
It is. Plus, mandatory human oversight mechanisms. And perhaps the scariest part for IT ops, a 72-hour window for incident reporting if the system breaches its safety parameters.
Hold on. 72 hours to fully diagnose an AI failure.
Yep, 72 hours.
In a distributed system, it can take weeks just to figure out why a normal server crashed.
I know.
And if you miss that window or your audit trail is bad, the fine is up to 30 million euros, or 6% of global revenue, whichever is higher.
It's massive.
That feels wildly disproportionate. I mean, if I'm a CTO in Europe right now, my first thought is that this completely kills innovation. Doesn't this force European companies to move so slowly that they just fall behind?
You know, that is the most common reaction.
Yeah.
And from a legacy IT perspective, it makes total sense.
Right.
But it fundamentally misunderstands how modern AI development works. The AetherLink guide addresses this with a concept called AI lead architecture.
Okay, AI lead architecture.
See, the traditional software approach is to build the application first, get the cool features working, and then bring in the lawyers at the end to bolt on compliance checklists.
The classic move fast and break things, and then pay the legal team to sweep up the glass.
Exactly. And if you apply that legacy mindset to agentic AI under the new act, you are guaranteed to fail.
Because it's too late in the process.
Right. The compliance review will flag foundational issues with data lineage or bias, and you'll literally have to tear the whole system down to the studs and rebuild it.
Ugh, a nightmare.
But if you treat compliance as a foundational layer, if you use AI-led architecture to weave bias monitoring, audit trails, and graceful degradation right into the DNA of the codebase from day one, the whole paradigm shifts.
So by forcing developers to build the regulatory safety nets first, you actually speed up the deployment.
It completely flicks the timeline. AetherLink's data shows this architectural approach actually reduces time to market by 3 to 4 months.
Wow, really?
Yeah, because you completely eliminate that massive rework phase at the end. You breeze through legal bottlenecks because the system was quite literally designed to output the exact logs the auditors want.
That's brilliant. Which brings us to the actual tech stack. If architectural compliance is the secret, how are tech leaders actually building this layer?
The foundational models you choose are critical here. The guide highlights Anthropic's Claude Agent SDK as a kind of becoming the de facto standard for this.
For European enterprises specifically.
Yes, for production-grade, high-compliance environments.
But there are dozens of models out there. Why Claude?
2 fundamental architectural advantages. First is constitutional AI.
I've heard of that. How is it different from normal safety filters?
Most models rely on external human filters to block bad outputs. Constitutional AI has a hidden set of core principles, a constitution embedded at the structural level. The model actually uses this constitution to critique and revise its own internal reasoning before it ever generates an output.
So it acts like its own internal compliance officer.
Exactly, which aligns perfectly with EU requirements for structural safety. And the second advantage is its massive 200,000 token context window.
Let's elevate that for a second, because a 200K context window completely shifts how you handle data retrieval.
It changes everything.
You don't have to rely on complex, fragmented vector databases for every query anymore. You can literally load a 500-page ISO compliance framework directly into the model's active working memory.
Exactly. You can load the corporate compliance manual, the live EU sanctions list, and a customer's 5-year transaction history into its memory all at once.
And can reason across all of it instantly.
Without losing context, yeah.
That's incredibly powerful. Now, the guide also mentions open source alternatives like Mistral AI, which brings up the classic tech dilemma, build versus buy.
Oh, yes. The eternal question.
If I want to deploy this tomorrow, should I build it from scratch using open source or just buy a commercial off-the-shelf solution?
The reality in 2026 is that a pure build or a pure buy strategy will both fail spectacularly.
Really? I mean, a pure build makes sense to avoid you'd spend millions trying to replicate Anthropic's safety research. But why would a pure buy strategy fail? Aren't there SaaS platforms promising compliance out of the box?
Sure, but a pure off-the-shelf solution is generalized. It is almost guaranteed to fail your specific industry's compliance audits.
Oh, because it doesn't know my company's specific rules.
Exactly. It isn't tailored to your unique legacy data structures or your specific operational risk profile. You can't just drop a generic AI into a bespoke European manufacturing supply chain and expect it to magically understand your internal audit needs.
So what's the answer? A hybrid architecture.
Exactly. You buy the foundational frameworks license, the Claude SDK, or use a platform like AetherBot for the core reasoning. But then you use specialized development services like AetherDV to build highly customized integration and governance layers on top of it.
So you build the specific API connections to your old on-premise databases and build the specific data trails your regulators demand.
That is the exact blueprint for surviving the EU AI Act while capturing the ROI.
Okay, so concepts like AI-led architecture and hybrid integration sound amazing in theory. But to prove this actually works, let's dissect the case study from the AetherLink guide.
Yes, the Eindhoven Industrial Corridor case study. It's a textbook example.
Right, it perfectly illustrates the stakes. So the setup. It's a mid-sized manufacturing firm with over 300 active suppliers across 12 countries.
And their vendor compliance checks were entirely manual.
Imagine the bottleneck. They had teams of human officers manually downloading hundreds of pages of PDF certifications.
Cross-referencing them against constantly updating sanction spreadsheets.
Trying to manually verify ESG compliance for every single vendor, it was taking them 4 to 6 weeks just to clear one vendor.
Under the new regulatory framework, that manual process is literally a ticking time bomb.
Totally.
Human error in that kind of tedious matching is inevitable. And if a human misses one sanctions update, boom, 30 million euro fine.
So they needed a solution, but they couldn't just throw a black box AI at it because regulators demand auditable proof.
Right, so AetherLink deployed an agentic system using the Claude SDK and their AetherBot framework.
How did the agent handle the workflow differently?
Well, the system was architected to automatically ingest all inbound supplier certifications and tax filings the second they hit the portal.
Okay.
Utilizing that massive context window, the agent instantly cross-references the raw text of those documents against live API feeds of EU sanctions lists.
Wow, in real time.
Yes, if it detects a risk, it flags it immediately. And crucially, if it hits a weird edge case like a supplier in a newly restricted jurisdiction, the graceful degradation protocol kicks in.
Ah, so it escalates it to the humans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it doesn't just hand them a file. It gives the human compliance officer a fully structured summary detailing exactly what the discrepancy is and which clause triggered the alert.
The results they got from this are just every operations director's dream. They took their vendor compliance check times from 35 days down to 4 days.
A staggering increase in velocity.
And they didn't sacrifice accuracy. False positives dropped by 68%.
And zero false negatives. The agent didn't miss a single actual issue.
Plus, they saved 180,000 euros annually just in raw labor overhead.
But the ultimate proof was the regulatory audit.
Right, they were audited by EU regulators.
And they achieved a 100% success rate. The regulators didn't just pass them, they actually cited the AI's transparent decision reasoning as a structural strength.
Wow.
Because of that AI lead architecture, they could point to any automated decision and show a verifiable data lineage log. They could prove exactly which PDF and which data feed led to that conclusion.
We have covered so much ground today. From goal-oriented autonomy and multimodal voice to the strict data lineage of the EU AI Act.
It's a lot to process.
It is. But distilling it all down, my biggest takeaway is just the sheer speed and scale of ROI, especially with voice-enabled agents.
Absolutely.
When you see a 62% reduction in customer interaction costs in 18 months, it shifts from an IT upgrade to an absolute operational imperative. It's the highest priority investment for any organization right now.
It's impossible to ignore. For me, the central takeaway is the necessary shift in mindset. Governance and compliance are no longer just legal hurdles.
Right.
They are a competitive advantage.
Right.
Companies that embed safety and data lineage from the beginning aren't just dodging fines. They're scaling faster than competitors stuck in endless compliance rework loops.
You're turning a defensive necessity into an offensive weapon.
Precisely. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final thought.
Go for it.
If an AI agent is integrated with 50 systems, executing complex workflows in seconds, who becomes legally liable when that agent executes a highly efficient yet legally ambiguous business strategy? Is it the developer, the CTO? Or does autonomous AI create an entirely new category of corporate risk?
Oh man, that is a fascinating legal puzzle to chew on as these systems get more autonomous. Well, for more AI insights, visit etherlink.ai.